This is not the flu. It's not fake news. It's not going to magically disappear just because we're all tired of it and we want our normal lives back. We are in a war right now, and the virus is winning. Now, more than ever, I'm pleading with the people of our state to stand together a while longer to help us battle this surging virus.
Hope is hard right now.
The shutdowns where people were not allowed to go into bars, restaurants, that had a large impact on our business.
Everybody's lives have changed dramatically and we're no different.
Everybody's anxious, everybody's afraid.
I think what we talk about versus what it can feel like are very different.
I've never in my life experienced anything of this magnitude. Like, this is really horrible.
There is no rule book, there's no manual, there's no instruction, there's no code of ordinances that addresses this moment. It's like we're all winging it. We are in the moment, this is prime time, we're all actors going on cold, trying to figure it out and trying to respond to one another. The City of Hyattsville has stepped up in a number of very important ways to help the community at this time during the coronavirus pandemic. One of those is through direct service by providing food distributions, volunteer matching, coordinating with other volunteers who are making masks, for example, to get those to the people that need them. The other way is through a $1 million pandemic grant fund that the city established.
So the final item on our discussion agenda is with regard to the pandemic fund is just to give.
And that is a fund that is set aside to provide direct support to businesses through a business grant program, but also direct support to the individuals and families that have been hit the hardest at this time. And we're doing that in partnership with some great community partners, including Hyattsville CDC, Employ Prince George's, and CASA.
Well, the first thing we did when we got the order that we had to essentially shut the restaurant down was to ask the employees who wanted to work and who didn't want to work. Most people really wanted to work. We tried to be very fair about giving a bunch of people 3/4 time to lay off as few people as possible. We've been in business for a long time, and we feel such loyalty towards the community and such loyalty towards our employees that those two things drive how we do our business. So we feel like in every fiber of our beings that we want to be open for the duration of this, to serve the community, to have the kind of to help people through their way of dealing with this. Because when people do finally get back to whatever the new normal is, they're going to want to see our same smiling faces, the people who know them, the people who have been serving them for the last 17 years. I feel like people have factored in all the fundraisers we've done and all the ways we've helped the community over the last 27 years, and they're trying to give back to us for what they see as what we have given the community, and I'm very grateful for it. So, it's because I'm not, usually emotional.
There are a number of ways that I see people coming together at this time, and they're all very different. In that way, families are coming together. Like, I've gotten to know and experience my kids and my family in a very different way than I would have when I was mixed up with the hustle and bustle of go, go, go.
know it's 5 o'clock. It's like the whole thing just fell apart. Hello. Hi. I think we're live. I think anybody right now that's sharing a skill and sharing it through Facebook Live or Zoom or anything and putting it out into the world, I think it creates a sense of community, both locally because you're connecting with the people that you know, and it's kind of like, oh, my neighbor's doing this thing, and let them know about it. But you're also connecting globally. You're bringing a lot of people into your sphere that you may not have connected with in a long time, and you're showing them a little bit of your community as well. So, I mean, I know we're not out and about in Hyattsville, but sitting here in my kitchen and feeling connected to my community is really important to me. My mom put together this recipe book for Elsie and Isla. Both the girls have one. She calls this Elsie and Isla bread, and this is a picture of them when they were quite little making the bread together. That was fire. And this bread, the reason I say you can't mess it up is because you can let a 2 and a 5-year-old bake the bread, pound the bread, do whatever they need to do with the bread. I'm sorry I'm using you as an example. You can show me how do you knead.
Okay.
Yeah, show me, go.
Okay, so you're gonna fold, push, turn, fold, push.
As I think about my great-grandmother, and I think about, we would open her drawers and find these balls of tinfoil, and we'd laugh, like you're hoarding tinfoil. You can just get it at the store, what's the big deal? And I think about how much I minimized that growing up, and it was a joke, and she never minded. She was never insulted because we were laughing at her tinfoil hoarding. But it's a very different thing to now be in a scenario where, one day maybe my grandchildren will laugh because I will always pick up extra toilet paper. And I will hope for them probably what she hoped for me, which is that I would never know what it was like to have to hoard balls of tinfoil. And now that's what I hope for my grandkids, that they don't have to know this kind of fear. So doing these videos has been really great because I'm making do with stuff that I would have probably before just gone to the store, gone out to eat. It's just making me much more aware of the things I consume. And it's, I think, bringing me a lot closer to people like my grandmother.
Individuals from the county and the city reached out to us telling us about the need for hand sanitizer among first responders, including firefighters, paramedics, and police officers. And we decided that that was something that we wanted to help out with because we could help out with it. We have transformed our distillery from making craft spirits into making sanitizer. And so today we are filling up some buckets for the city of Hyattsville. We're going to get them 8 gallons of hand sanitizer that was made right here from scratch. And that is what we're doing today. Since we've opened our doors here in Hyattsville, the surrounding community has been so supportive of us, and we would not have been able to have been open for the 1.5 years that we've been open without their support. And so to be able to make hand sanitizer to us is a small drop in the bucket in comparison to the love and the support that has been shown by the Hyattsville community to us for the past 1.5 years.
When we were deliberating this on the councils, some folks said, well, I'm not sure this is the right approach. Or they said, maybe we should study what people have done in other pandemics. That one step that you made, it wasn't enough, and it won't be enough, but it contributes to something. It's like this odd convergence of all these things where no one knows the answer, but the person that succeeds or the entity that succeeds is the one that is willing to ask the right questions and at least start taking some steps. And at the same time, you're hearing people say, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this, or that. And you know that this $2,500 grant that you're making available to them won't nearly cover the depth of need that they have. That's a hard position to be in.
Trinity Grill is an American soul food bar and grill. We opened April 1st, 2016. Been here for little over 4 years. Like I said, I grew up in this area. It was my wife. It was her vision. She really brought the vision to life, because everything that she told me when she woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I thought she was crazy, if I look around the restaurant, it's hard. It's hard. But you know, it's not just hard for me. You know what I mean? People have lost their loved ones. People have died out here. You know what I mean? And people could say, man, you selfish, like you just worried about your business staying open. We sacrifice also. You know, we roll the dice out there too, you know, and we're just hoping that people can believe in us as we believe in ourselves in the restaurant. And we were getting there, and then boom. Now I guess the most frightening thing about what's going on is just not knowing. Like, you don't know. But I'm hopeful, and I'm gonna keep praying and keep pushing forward, and maybe one day we can look back and say, you know, remember how bad things can get. Try to do something to help the next person that might be going through more than what you're going through. And please come out and show Trinity Grill some love, and we'll show it back, always.
I'm a family physician, and I'm the Chief Transformation Officer for Mary Center, a community health center that cares for 60,000 patients here in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm also the Medical Director for the Georgia Avenue Clinic. For my day-to-day job, I help the organization function better, and that's the job of the Chief Transformation Officer. I think here at work, everyone has stepped up. You know, everyone from the housekeeping staff to the physicians. And because if we're not here, then they're gonna end up going to the emergency room where it's even more dangerous. It really hit home for me when a couple of weeks ago my sister sent me an email with an improvised will, basically asking us to take her children. And, you know, she and her husband are doctors in New York City, and my sister's husband is an ICU doctor. So we just made a decision about sending somebody to the hospital because they're not doing very well. My risk of contracting COVID is not as high as those working in the emergency rooms or in the ICU, but it's high. And in order to protect my family, for the last 3 weeks, I've been living in my basement, coming through the garage, right into the basement, and not seeing my family at all. I communicate with my family through the phone, FaceTime, texting, like we always did. But one thing that we do every single day is have dinner together. My family, my wife, my 2 daughters upstairs in the dining room, and then me, you know, in my basement. And we FaceTime each other, sit down together, and as if we're having, you know, dinner together. We laugh, we get mad at each other. It's a little hard for me to see people on FaceTime. They move the phone, you know, one direction or the other, so I can see the kids, and, you know, kind of taking turns getting FaceTime.
But rather, the heroes in our communities, in our family, at least for mine, are the kids. They've stuck in there, they've taken every single direction and instruction with stride, and they still manage to be optimistic, to be hopeful, and create the space for love and attention and affection that everyone kind of so desperately needs. They've just been some of the most tremendous souls, in my view, at this time, and it just reminds me of how important it is to really just enjoy what you have and appreciate it for what it's worth. That means that when I do get a chance to get back out and maybe see someone, you know, when the coffee shop finally opened, or when I got to go into Franklin's or another restaurant to pick up my order, getting to see those people meant a whole lot more than it did ever before. And you recognize how much we take for granted human connection.
I think in Hyattsville, we are seeing, you know, a lot of people suffering, but a lot of people coming together. I just hope that we don't forget about, you know, our neighbors who we may not know very well, you know, reaching out to them when this is all over, or even through, you know, telephones or FaceTime, because that's the only way that we're going to get through together.
For me, it puts life into perspective. It makes you so much more grateful for what you don't have. But if you go back and rewind, a lot of stuff that we might have been complaining about, if life could go back to normal, you wouldn't complain about it anymore.
And giving everybody the opportunity to reach out well beyond what their usual circle is, and maybe reinforce some of those bonds and connections that have been lost. If we get anything out of this experience, you know, that's what I hope we do, and it's certainly something I'm feeling with doing something as simple as teaching baking on Facebook Live.
The most hope or the most encouragement in a time like this is the close-knitness of the Hyattsville community, and the amount of the outpouring from the community to all of the businesses so far that have been shut down and impacted like this. And I know that when we come out of this, we're all going to be stronger than we were when we went into it, and it's because of this community here in Hyattsville and in the greater county and the state.
It's not going to be easy, but we'll all do it, and we will be a better, my hope is we'll be better people and a better community for it, and in ways we're not even sure of yet.
And so I want us to remember what that action feels like. I want us to remember what it looks like. And I want us to continue to operate as a community with that same mindset and the same acknowledgement that we can really be better than what we were.